Good morning. It is July 23rd today, and we are going into week 3 in Intro to Sport Management. So last week we talked a little bit about sport marketing, and this week we're talking about sport communications as well as facility management. So when you start looking at your sport organization analysis assignment, I ask you to analyze one of the managerial functions of a sport agency or organization of your choice. And these are the managerial functions that I'm referring to. You can either pick marketing or facility management or communications or the additional managerial functions that we're going to look at going forward in this class. So that's what I mean when I say management functions. I have graded your assignments from week 2, and I asked you to look at some myths about sport careers, and I also asked you to look at a current issue in marketing. So please look at the feedback that I have given you in the answers that you gave me in your weekly reaction assignments. You can see that feedback in your grade center, and that's the way that I communicate with you. In an online class, it's tough for us to kind of talk back and forth as we would in a classroom. So this is kind of one of the ways that I do that with you. You communicate with me through your weekly reaction assignments, and I communicate back with you through my feedback on those. So again, you can see those in your grade center where the assignment is. And I want to remind you that I'm looking for connections to the course material, such as the articles or the textbook chapters that I ask you to read. So if I have specifically asked you to cite information from your textbook in a weekly reaction assignment, and I don't see that, I don't see that you have told me what the book says, and I don't see a specific APA formatted citation for that, then I'm going to take off points. And I will have explained that to you in the feedback for that assignment. If I take off points, that's probably what it was for. So just make sure that if I'm asking you for a textbook citation or for you to connect an article to what your textbook says about a specific topic, then I want to see that in your weekly reaction assignment, and I'll take points off if I don't. So if I didn't see that from you in week 2, then hopefully we can get better about that in week 3. Speaking of week 3, the week 3 content is available. So this week we're talking about 2 more managerial functions of sport, and those are sport communications and sport facility management. So many of you picked the Image Matters current issue that your textbook cited. So communications really is kind of an extension of marketing, but it's very important in sports, and a lot of you talked about that when you talked about how teams have to manage an image, whether it's a good image or damage control when maybe a player gets in trouble. So that's what we're going to talk about in the sport communications part of this week's content. And then in the facility management part of this week's content, facility management is one of my favorite aspects of sport. And it's a crucial function in sport, so we often feel is overlooked. So when you go to a game or you go to a fitness facility and everything is working right, you really don't notice. But think about things like, whether the pool chemicals in the DSC are in compliance with the health department, or whether all the fitness equipment works. And this is a facility management type of function. So it's whether stuff is working properly or in compliance with safety regulations or health regulations. And it can also be, like if you go to a Trojan Athletics event, it can also be that the security procedures are in place in the Stevens Center, or that the lighting is sufficient in the arena, or that the lighting is sufficient on Coleman Fields. So we're going to be looking at a few specific things with making sure that facilities are giving us what we need in our sports experience. So I hope that you enjoy this week's content, and I want you to remember, or I want to remind you, that there are 4 things due this week, and that's a lot of stuff. So I know that you've already started on your sport reporter assignment and your sport resume assignment. Those 2 things are due at the end of this week. I know you've started on them because I reminded you last week. And then also, as usual, you have your weekly quiz and your weekly reaction assignment that we have had every week so far. So a lot of stuff due this week. Feel free to ask me questions. I'm pretty responsive, and I enjoy when you communicate with me. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.